Howdy! Film Revision is back after a brief hiatus to continue our year-long discussion of films from 1983. In 1997, I was working on my senior thesis short film in college, and I had this great idea that I was going to do a short about a relationship where it told the story in reverse chronological order from the breakup to the time that the couple first met. One of the students in the class raised their hand and was like, Harold Pinter already wrote a play like that, even though they did not sound like an 80-year-old woman when they did it. And that play was turned into a film, and that film is the film we're discussing today. It is Betrayal, written by Harold Pinter from his play. Our guests for today's discussion are Jeffrey Lamar, an actor and a musician from Astoria, New York, and Danielle May, a high school teacher from Long Island, New York. Jeffrey, let's start with you. Opening thoughts, what do you got?
Very quiet. It starts off with a very subdued, almost like slightly whimsical beginning with them in the bar and sipping a pint. Have you ever seen Pinter before? I have never.
Pinter, like, on the whole, is known for this minimalistic style where literally people do not finish sentences.
I was sort of taken aback because it almost is more abrasive in its minimalism than it is with films nowadays that just sort of spoon feed it to you. You know, I thought the idea was pretty, very Kurosawa almost, actually. Just no, just in its sort of in its nothingness, you get everything.
Right, well, I think that's part of the theatricality of it too.
Right.
But let's get back to that. I want to talk to Danielle a little while. What do you got?
I mean, I watched it twice, and I liked it a lot better the second time around. But I think it's because I got to know the characters better, and because I sort of already knew what was happening the second time around, I could really focus on the dialogue, because I think that's what really drives the movie.
Or lack thereof in most cases. I mean, this is a movie that's driven, I think, by the moments between the moments.
Well, yeah, it's like the interplay between what they're saying and what's showing up on their faces.
Subtext.
And to be able to focus on both, actually, like the second viewing, I was allowed to catch that a lot more and understand, like, get what they're thinking and what they're saying at the same
And I think
time.
that's interesting, is because that's an interesting statement about film today. It's sort of what Jeffrey was getting at, in the sense that you're so accustomed to not having to do that. I mean, like, there's so many films that don't, that don't take the time to use subtext. Characters say what they mean instead of putting on a front like most of us do. And it's almost more real. I mean, Pinter maybe takes it to a minimalistic extreme, but I mean, like, there's something very natural about certainly the way these actors portrayed Pinter and other Pinter plays. So we talked about what did we think about the structure? I mean, like, this whole idea of telling the story backwards. Were you confused? Did you like it? Was it exciting? Was it new and interesting?
Well, I'll tell you,
Please do.
being a fan of like films like Quentin Tarantino films and
I mean, this is a far cry, though.
It's a far cry from Quentin Tarantino, but the whole timeline is sort of similar, where he jumps
non-sequential
back.
narrative.
Exactly.
But he jumps around. Like,
He
this
really does.
This is still linear, just backwards.
Yeah, but it kind of lost me once or twice, and I didn't have the luxury of watching it again.
But they leave landmarks for you.
Right.
I mean, like, because it starts with a breakup, and like, in the scene with the breakup, they'll talk about, oh, remember that time in the kitchen where you did this?
Exactly.
And, like, or they're misremembering a scene, and then we'll see the scene, how it actually happened, 3 years later. And maybe this is what you mean by Kurosawa, in the sense that the scene as it actually happened is not like how either of their memories seem to remember it, and that sort of thing. So like, in that sense, it has a Rashomon type.
Definitely Rashomon.
I mean, I think it had to go backwards. I think if it went forwards, it would have been really boring. I think moving backwards made it a lot more interesting.
Because it was so much like any relationship. Like, there was nothing.
Right. It's like they had an affair, and then they got bitter, and their lives fell apart. Like, just
so the only special thing about the film is its structure.
Well, the structure makes you focus on.
Makes you pay attention a little more.
This is where they are. Now you're really wondering, how did they get there? And so you care a little bit more about how they got there. Whereas I think if they just started at the beginning and worked their way forward, you wouldn't. of course that's going to happen. Like, it's just not as interesting that way.
This is a perfect segue to my very next topic, actually, and that is, they talk about Anytime USA. It's like any relationship. There's nothing particularly unique about the way they meet, fall in love, and break up. Do you guys feel like you can kind of identify the characters? Because, I mean, I think I recognize parts of myself in each of these characters and relationships I've had. I mean, I feel like there is something universal about Betrayal.
I mean, I think their thoughts and feelings were very real, and like the small lies that occur throughout it are very real. And like when the Patricia Hodge character finds out that her husband's having an affair, she's really indignant about it at the bar, and it's ridiculous because she's been having an affair for 7 years. But that's like also real. That's how somebody would react. They'd still be upset that their partner was having an affair, even though they've been having one
for like 8 years
themselves. And
for closing thoughts, what I don't get a sense of is like this sort of idea of thumbs up, thumbs down. Maybe I'm not allowed to say that. I think the thumbs are patented. But I mean, like, I mean, like, we're analyzing, and that's great. That's what we do here. But did you like the film, Jeffrey?
I'm gonna say yes and no. You need a definitive answer.
I'll take yes and no. I mean,
Will you?
Yes, why? No, why? What's the yes? What's the
yes? Because I thought it was brave.
no? Agreed.
No, because of the stuffiness of the whole thing. It's great to watch. Yeah, it's great to watch. And don't get me wrong, love British people. Not the Beatles. No, don't get me wrong. It's just this particular style doesn't really.
Danielle, you liked it better the second time, but overall?
I'm gonna have to go with yes and no.
Don't do that to me, you copycat. No, I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't have been copying if I had gone first.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, I thought the performances were really great, and there was a lot of interesting stuff in there. I'd rather see it as a play. I don't think it needs to be a movie, and that's why no.
I did like the film overall. I think the braveness, certainly I appreciate, but the lack of cinematicness, which I think is what you're getting at.
And that could just be a product.
I love the minimalism of Pinter, though. I love the Pinter style. That works for me. I love subtext. Love it. And if you want to see Pinter on film, Joseph Losey's The Servant from 1963, I want to say, starring Sarah Miles is a supporting part, but Dirk Bogarde is the main character. I think James Fox or Edward Fox, I can't remember, or is the other character, and it's perfect. It's a great film. Joseph Losey's The Servant from the mid '60s. So it's about time at this point, guys, to say goodbye. Thanks again to Jeffrey and Danielle. And if you are interested in becoming a guest on Film ReVision, send us an email at info@myriadarts.net, and we'll talk to you about maybe something day coming on and sitting in one of these seats and talking with me about a film from 1983. Don't forget to vote on these video blogs using the YouTube star system. And at the end of the year, the guests of the blog with the best votes will come back for an end-of-the-year wrap-up type show. It's time now to talk about Reel 13, as usual. This week, they're showing their first Hitchcock film, Strangers on a Train, which Jeffrey is a fan of. And also, after that will be the short that you voted on reel13.org, and then the indie Jumping Off Bridges, which is a film dealing with depression amongst adolescents and teenagers. And for trailers, synopses, and stills of these films, these Reel 13 films, become a fan of Reel 13 on Facebook. Become a part of this emerging community of film aficionados. I'm on there. You could be on there too. So with that, I'm going to bid you guys adieu. It's been great. Don't forget to tune in next time. We're going to talk about a modern film. We get a lot of emails asking us to talk about current films, and next week's going to be another one. We don't know what it is yet, but tune in and find out. Thanks very much. I'm Jonathan Betzler.